In the shadow of a dying sun, the world of Aeryndor glittered like a jewel in the cosmos. Its seas shimmered with bioluminescent life, and its forests glowed with hues of sapphire and emerald, nourished by the delicate balance of light from the red dwarf above. The Aeryndians, a peaceful, avian species, had long perfected the art of harmony, with their environment, their neighbors, and the stars themselves. But even they had not foreseen the arrival of the humans. The first human ships appeared above Aeryndor like falling stars. Their sleek hulls, dark and angular, seemed to absorb the light around them. The Aeryndians, ever curious and eager to share knowledge, welcomed the visitors with open wings. Messages of peace and cooperation were exchanged, and for a time, it seemed as though the humans were willing to coexist. But the facade crumbled quickly. The humans' true purpose became clear when their massive mining vessels descended on Aeryndor's moon, Korath. They began strip mining its surface, extracting rare minerals critical to their expanding interstellar empire. When the Aeryndians objected, their protests were met with cold indifference. "We require these resources for the survival of billions," the human envoy, Commander Elias Merrick, stated with a tone devoid of remorse. "Your cooperation is appreciated, but not necessary." The humans' technology was centuries ahead of the Aeryndians. Their orbital fleet's weapons gleamed with deadly precision, and their soldiers carried armor that seemed impenetrable. The Aeryndians, who had long abandoned the art of war, were helpless. Ryn Taval, a young Aeryndian scientist with feathers of iridescent teal, watched the devastation unfold from her observatory on the clifftop spire. Korath's once gleaming surface was now pockmarked with craters and scars. The moon's biome, fragile ecosystems of crystalline flora, was reduced to ash. She clenched her talons, rage simmering beneath her usually serene demeanor. "We must act," Ryn said, addressing the Council of Elders. "If we do nothing, they will consume not just Korath, but Aeryndor itself." Elder Veril, his silver plumage dulled with age, shook his head. "Violence is not our way, Ryn. The humans are beyond our strength. We must seek a diplomatic resolution." "Diplomatic resolution?" Ryn's voice rose. "They've ignored every plea, every gesture of goodwill. They see us as nothing more than an obstacle. We have to fight back, or we will cease to exist." The council murmured uneasily, torn between their pacifist ideals and the grim reality. But Ryn's words planted a seed of defiance in the hearts of the younger generation. They began to organize, drawing on the ancient knowledge buried in the archives, a knowledge their ancestors had sworn never to use again. Aeryndor's history was one of flourishing peace. The avian species had developed an intricate balance with their environment, creating bioluminescent technologies powered by naturally occurring crystals. Their society thrived in vertical cities carved into cliffsides, interwoven with waterfalls that harnessed hydrodynamic energy. The Aeryndians lived with the philosophy of Asha, a principle of unity and harmony with all living things. This philosophy had guided them for millennia, shaping a civilization that saw war as a relic of the past. The humans, by contrast, were driven by relentless ambition. The Terran Dominion, humanity's sprawling empire, was fueled by the exploitation of alien worlds. Resource scarcity and overpopulation on Earth had pushed humanity into a desperate, expansionist mindset. Propaganda depicted their conquests as noble endeavors, spreading progress to less advanced species. Behind closed doors, however, commanders like Elias Merrick saw themselves as pragmatists, willing to sacrifice alien cultures for the survival of their own. Ryn's defiance stemmed not just from intellectual conviction, but personal loss. Her bondmate, Kirill, was an explorer who had been among the first to greet the humans. Kirill had been captured during a peaceful protest on Korath, and his fate remained unknown. For Ryn, the fight was both personal and existential. Elder Veril represented the old ways of the Aeryndians. He had lived through the last great conflict in their history, a civil war that nearly destroyed their world. His reluctance to fight was born of trauma, but it blinded him to the necessity of resistance. Among the humans, Lieutenant Anya Reyes stood out as a voice of dissent. Born in one of Earth's overcrowded megacities, she had joined the military to escape poverty. But witnessing the devastation on Aeryndor awakened a moral conflict within her. Her clandestine communications with the Resistance were acts of both defiance and redemption. The first strike by the Resistance came when a human supply convoy entered the atmosphere. Using cloaked gliders, the Aeryndians ambushed the ships, disabling their engines with precise imp bursts. The captured vessels provided invaluable intelligence, maps of human operations and details of their mining schedules. The victory ignited hope among the Aeryndians, but it also provoked the wrath of the humans. Commander Merrick issued an ultimatum: cease your attacks, or face total annihilation. Ryn's response was defiant: you cannot annihilate what you cannot catch. The humans escalated their efforts, deploying advanced drones and orbital strikes. Villages were razed, and thousands of Aeryndians were forced to flee into the wilderness. But the Resistance adapted. They learned to predict human patterns, using the dense canopy of the sapphire forest as cover and the labyrinthine crystal caves as safe havens. Within the Resistance, tensions rose. Aeryndian unity was tested when a prominent leader, Yvaris, advocated for surrender to minimize casualties. Yvaris secretly negotiated with the humans, hoping to broker a truce. His betrayal was uncovered during a critical operation, forcing Ryn to make the painful decision to exile him. On the human side, dissension grew. Anya Rhea's efforts to sabotage the fleet's operations created chaos among the ranks. She hacked into communication channels, leaking recordings of Merrick's ruthless orders to the soldiers. The revelations planted seeds of doubt and rebellion within the human forces. With Anya's help, the Resistance devised a final, desperate plan. They would infiltrate the humans' flagship, the Ironclad, and disable the Aegis Protocol, a planetary bombardment that would render Aeryndor uninhabitable. The mission was fraught with peril. Using the captured human vessels, Ryn and a small team disguised themselves as a maintenance crew. They boarded the Ironclad, navigating its labyrinthine corridors with Anya's guidance. When they reached the command center, they were met with fierce resistance. Blaster fire lit up the room as Ryn's team engaged the human guards. Despite their advanced armor, the humans were no match for the Aeryndians' agility and precision. Ryn confronted Merrick in the control room. The commander stood tall, his cold eyes unwavering. "You think this changes anything?" he sneered. "Your world is already lost." "Not while we draw breath," Ryn retorted. With a swift strike, she disabled the control panel, ensuring the Aegis protocol could not be activated. Merrick lunged at her, but Ryn's training and determination prevailed. She subdued him, leaving him bound and powerless. "Your empire's reach ends here," she said. The Resistance's victory marked a turning point. News of the failed Aegis protocol spread, and with it, the story of the Aeryndians' resilience. Dissension grew among the human fleet, and many soldiers defected, unwilling to continue the campaign. In the aftermath, Ryn addressed her people from the clifftop spire. "We have endured the storm, not by abandoning our principles, but by defending them. Let this be a lesson to all who would bring harm to others. Unity, courage, and hope are stronger than any weapon." The humans withdrew, their empire shamed and fractured. Aeryndor began to heal, its forests regrowing and its skies once again filled with song. The Aeryndians formed alliances with other oppressed species, ensuring they would never face such a threat alone again. In the annals of history, Ryn Taval's name was etched as a symbol of defiance and hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the light of unity could guide a people to victory. Years later, Ryn stood in the rebuilt observatory on the clifftop spire. Beside her was Kirill, returned to her after the humans released their captives as part of their retreat. Together, they gazed at Korath, now a sanctuary where life had begun to bloom anew. "We've come so far," Kirill said softly, his feathers brushing against hers. "And we will go further," Ryn replied, her eyes shining with determination, for Aeryndor and for all who seek freedom. The stars above seemed to shimmer in agreement, a silent promise of peace and unity.